Are you a life coach?
And
You told me that the first time I met you.
give me the
Because I don't know if it's appropriate.
Thank you.
You have three or more commissioners in the room at the same time, it's called an open meeting.
Yeah.
It has to be always been the result. So the legal's got some things on it. I'll work through that with you this afternoon. I'll call you.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Rose.
Good to see you, Kelly.
Did you watch that? Did you
Testing 1, 2. Okay. We should be starting in about a minute. Can you repeat that? All right, standing by. Okay, 30 seconds.
Okay, like I brought up yesterday during,
Stand by in 5, 4, 3, 2, and you're live.
okay, meet with Lynn. Yeah.
Might start. We're live.
Test, okay. Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday, August 9th, Board of Sedgwick County Commission meeting. Madam Clerk.
Invocation to be led by a moment of silence. Please remain standing for the flag salute.
Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I forgot to mention, thank you for all those that are watching on KPTS and our YouTube and Facebook channels. So welcome again, everybody. Madam Clerk.
Roll call. Commissioner Lopez.
Present.
Commissioner Dennis.
Present.
Commissioner Beatty.
Present.
Commissioner Howell.
Present.
Chairman Meitzner.
Present. Next item, please.
County announcements.
Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Nicole Gibbs of Strategic Communications. With exciting news to share, the Register of Deeds office is expanding. Tanya Buckingham and her team are opening an East office at the Kellogg Tag office. Tanya is here to share more information.
Good morning, Tanya.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tanya Buckingham, Register Deeds. So we have some exciting news, like Nicole said. On Monday, August 21st, we will be opening a full-service satellite location within the East Kellogg Tag office, which is 5620 East Kellogg Drive. We'll be able to provide all of our services that we provide here in this main location at this new location, whether that's recording our real estate documents, filing our DD-214s, issuing the cards, or processing passports. So we'll be able to do it all at this location. We're going to be across the street from the VA Center, which is going to be an excellent location for the veterans. We are expecting to see more traffic due to this location being nearby the VA Center. We will be open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, and we will be closed for lunch from 12 to 1. I also would like to thank our County Treasurer, Brandy Bailey, for allowing us to utilize this space within her East Kellogg Tag office.
Right.
That's it.
That's really good news. That's very good news. So thank you. Any
Thank you.
questions? Oh, Commissioner Dennis.
I just want to tell you thank you, Tanya, for helping support our veterans, as always, but also the entire county, because this new ability to not only have people that are working from the Treasurer's office, but also from the Register of Deeds office in one location is going to be a game changer for a lot of people, and especially being right across from the VA. So thank you for thinking outside the box and supporting our community.
You're welcome. Happy to do it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. For county good news, want to shout out to Exploration Place on setting a new all-time attendance record. They have had over 363,047 visitors this year, which is approximately 14,500 higher than their previous record, which was during the first year of operation. Exploration Place has also set a new membership record, which is 45% more than last year. So congratulations to Exploration Place. Also want to remind folks that this is the last week that the Sunflower Summer app can be used. There are different learning centers across Kansas, including Exploration Place, Sedgwick County Zoo, TCAM, and more that you can use this app at. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Okay. That is some good news. Any questions, comments? I don't see any. Thanks again. All right. Next item, please.
Public agenda.
We don't ever, do we have to receive and file the, no. Okay, all right. Go ahead.
Public agenda.
We did not have anybody sign up to speak with us or address us on public agenda, so we will go to the next item.
Appointments, item A, resolution appointing James David Reed to the Sedgwick County Salem Township clerk position.
Mr. Wagner.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioners, Justin Wagoner, County Councilor. This first item, as you'll recall, last week at the Board of County Commissioners meeting, you accepted the resignation of Laura Adkins, and she was appointed also as the township trustee in Salem Township. So that she was resigning as the township clerk. This item would appoint James David Reed into that position. Under state law, any vacancies in township officials are filled by the Board of County Commissioners. The recommended action here is to adopt the resolution, and it is in proper order. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Lopez.
Thank you so much, Chairman. I just want to really fast thank David for your interest in wanting to serve. When we put the township trustee up, we had a handful of people who applied, and so we had a good pool of people to choose from for the clerk. Now that Laura has stepped into the trustee position, it's a thankless job, as I'm sure you're already aware of. But if you need anything in your transition, please let us know. But I would move that we adopt the resolution and appoint David Reed to the clerk position for the Salem Township.
Second that. Any other questions, comments? Don't see any. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. And here to swear in is Mr. Kelly Parks. I mean, Kelly Arnold. Wrong Kelly. Sorry about that.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kelly Arnold, your Sedgwick County Clerk. So please raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Kansas, and faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Sedgwick County Salem Township Clerk, so help me God. I do. Congratulations.
All right.
If you'd like to make a statement, you can.
I just want to thank you for the appointment, and I'll do the best job that I can. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, and Mr. Reed, and good luck. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item B, resolution appointing Richard Hill to the Sedgwick County Solid Waste Management Committee in position 13.
Mr. Wagner.
Yes, Chairman and Commissioners, if it's okay, Chairman, I'd suggest maybe we could take items B and C both together here. This would be, item B is a resolution appointing Richard Hill to the position 13 in the Solid Waste Management Committee, which would be recommended by Commissioner David Dennis. Item C is a resolution appointing Kelly Parks to the Solid Waste Management Committee in position 14 as recommended by Commissioner Ryan Beatty. Both resolutions are in proper form, and recommended action is to adopt them.
Okay. I'll go first with Commissioner Dennis.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. I'm happy to report appoint Mr. Richard Hill to the Solid Waste Management Committee. I've had this position open for some time, actually, and trying to find an individual. I talked to him personally, and I think he's going to make a great addition. And at the proper time, after Commissioner Beatty has a chance to talk, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay. Commissioner Beatty?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman, Commissioner Dennis. I want to thank Kelly Parks for his willingness to serve in this capacity. You've served on this board before in years past, and Susan says that you were very active. You showed up, committed, and when we have these advisory boards like this, I think that is the prerequisite, is people that are actually interested in the space and committed to showing up and serving. You've served for many years in your community in different capacities, and you're doing it yet again. So I want to thank you, sir, for stepping forward and being willing to do this. I'm honored to nominate you for this role.
Okay, we entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Richard Hill and Kelly Parks to the solid waste management position.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments, questions? Being none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. Congratulations. Mr. Kelly Arnold is here.
Monumental day for the county commission, having two male Kellys in the commission meeting at the same time.
Yeah, very confusing for some of us.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Kansas, and faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Sedgwick County Solid Waste Management Committee, so help me God.
So help me God. You wonder why I'm doing this.
You have any comments or anything?
Have you been to McPherson lately?
Thank you. We're good.
Anyway, thank you. Okay.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Parks.
Just wanted to say a few words. Thank you for your confidence in having me serve on this committee, and thank you, Commissioner Beatty, for appointing me. I did serve on this committee for 8 years, and there were always a couple things that came up on this committee. My wife and I have been recycling for 55 years, so this is nothing new for us, but we didn't have to have the government tell us to do that. And I'm not really for forced recycling or let's just keep the government out of this, but do it for the right reason. Another thing was the franchising. I don't think we should tell our people who they should have for trash service. But I'm open-minded. There are arguments both ways for this, but generally I think that should be between the private person and the private hauler. Just wanted to give a little speech here about recycling. As you know, these can be refilled. It's summertime. You don't think we need water today, but there's something going on with this, and I know Susan Erlewine, the chair of this committee, said this one time at one of our meetings. When somebody has and they're not recycling, has a plastic bottle and it has water in it, whether it be water, beer, cola, whatever, and they throw it away, most of these do not get crushed enough to have the water come out. So what we're doing, we're burying millions of gallons of water a year in our planet that should be out in the air. That's just the right thing to do. So if you're going to have to throw these away, take the cap off before you do it, or put the water somewhere else. Let's don't encapsulate this in our earth, So anyway, I just thought I would throw that in as a little sidebar there. And you're doing a fine job as far as I can tell. I try not to get involved with the government unless I have to. I was in it for some 33 years as a police officer, and then of course on the county commission for one term. And only one face that was there around, or I guess you weren't actually on the commission at that time, but came on just right after I left. So, but constant change gives the illusion of progress. So we have to have change. Your new digs are really good, and your secretaries are wonderful, and keep and do well by them. And I know you will.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, Madam Clerk, next item.
Item D, resolution reappointing James Burgess to the Sedgwick County Advisory Council on Aging and Physical Disabilities.
And Mr. Wagner?
Yes, this is a resolution to reappoint James Burgess to the Sedgwick County Advisory Council on Aging and Physical Disabilities. Each county commissioner has 3 appointments, and Mr. Burgess is recommended for reappointment by Commissioner Howell. The resolution's in proper order, and I'd urge your adoption of it.
Okay, Commissioner Howell.
Well, thank you, Chairman. This is a reappointment. Jim is very passionate about this topic and appreciate his faithful service, and so I'm very, very pleased he wants to serve another term, so I would make a motion we adopt the resolution.
I'll second that. Any questions, comments? Being none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. Okay, he's not here, so we'll go next item, please.
New business, item E, American Rescue Plan update.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Stamper.
Morning, Commissioners. Kevin Stamper, Assistant County Counselor. This is going to be just a brief public service announcement that builds on what Tanya discussed with you yesterday regarding the State Psychiatric Hospital. As you know, Sedgwick County is partnering with the state of Kansas in order to construct a facility here within the county. And that will be paid for with state spark dollars that were provided through the American Rescue Plan Act, as well as a state grant from SCDDO. The combination of the money means that we will be forced to follow federal procurement guidelines, and because we have to do that, there are certain extra steps that we might have to take over and above what we would ordinarily do in our own procurement process. We're going to have on the Sedgwick County website a set of frequently asked questions, and that is not live yet, but we anticipate that it will be within the week. The main issue that we need to take into account is for anyone who might be interested as a contractor for participating in this process. Due to the federal guidelines and the federal restrictions, the entire process has to go through our procurement department. So anyone that wants to try and be involved in that can go directly to the Sedgwick County website, and under the front page, there is an ARPA link. So go into that link and it will take them into where they can apply to participate within the procurement process. Members of the public and contractors cannot make direct contact with anyone else other than the procurement department, or they could be restricted from participating within the process. Anything that uses the ARPA dollars, they could be excluded from that process if they do not participate in the proper channels. And the frequently asked questions on the website will spell that process out. That's all I have. Any questions?
Okay, well, thank you for that update. I think we've been briefed before about the chain of command, meaning anybody needs to come straight to the procurement process.
Correct.
Just to reemphasize, because I
Thank you.
know we've all received various inquiries from citizens just with questions and maybe potential contractors that are interested in participating. So exciting time though. So thank you. Any other questions? I don't see anything. I make a motion to receive and file.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. No other questions. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. Next item, please.
Item F, report of the Board on Bids and Contracts, regular meeting on August 3rd, 2023.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Joe Thomas,
Hi, Joe.
Purchasing Director. The regular meeting of the Board of Bids and Contracts that was held on August 3rd has resulted in 3 items that we bring before you this morning. Our first item are 3 small or mid-sized 4-door sedans for ComCare, and the recommendation is to accept the bids from Don Hatton Chevrolet, and that's in the amount of $79,350. Item number 2 is mid-size all-wheel drive 4-door SUV vehicle. This recommendation is to accept the low and responsive bid from Don Hatton Chevrolet, and that's in the amount of $34,850. And our final item is copiers, printers, multi-function devices with related supplies, accessories, and services for various county departments. This recommendation is to make use of the contract with Konica Minolta Business Solutions USA Incorporated, and that's utilizing the state of Minnesota Sourcewell contract RFP 030321, which is contract 030321 KON, which is good through April 19th, 2025, with a one-year option to renew. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions you may have, and I recommend approval of the three items.
Okay, questions, Commissioner Dennis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. And Joe, you're aware of what I'm going to talk about.
Yes, sir.
The manager and you and I have had some communications about this. I have concerns about the vehicles that are on the bid board. The vehicles will cost us $7,000 more approximately each, and because the specification was for a leather interior rather than a cloth interior. I don't understand, well, I read the justification and I don't agree with it. Let's put it that way. During our communications, I learned that we don't have to go back out for bid because we do have a price for the cloth interior.
Yes, sir.
So it's pretty simple if we just remove the requirement for the cloth interior and approve bid board today. So that's the direction I'd like to go at the appropriate time, unless any commissioners have an objection. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Howell?
Thank you, Chairman. Just for clarification, we're talking about items 1 and 2, so it'd be 2 vehicles switching from leather to cloth, and there'd be so it'd be on item 1 there'd be 2. It came to us with 2 cloth and 1 leather. We would change that to 3 cloth.
Yes.
And item number 2, we'd go from 1 leather to 1 cloth.
Yes.
Okay, I agree with Commissioner Dennis on this one. Thank you.
Okay, Joe, would you like to comment, respond to any of that?
No, sir. We're at the will of the commission, and there will be no problem with getting that pricing and those packages from the vendor.
Okay. I don't see anything. Yeah, Tom.
I would look to, I know we have ComCare representation here today, and I would look to Bo, our fleet director, also, if he had any comment. I think what Commissioner's recommending is fine. I don't know if there's logistical reasons or operational reasons why they maybe want to talk about this, but if I look to you guys, do you want to comment or?
Okay. Any comments from the ComCare representative?
Hi, my name is Ashley Sublett. I am the facility manager for ComCare. I know there were some questions. I don't know which one you want to address first as far as the 3 sedans for crisis. We are 100% fine going with cloth. There's not going to be a lot of patients transported. It's more so for the mental health professional and the Wichita Police Department officer to go to the scene. On the rare occasion, there might be a patient in the back seat, but it wouldn't be for any kind of transportation.
Okay.
And then as far as the admin vehicle, ideally we would like to go with the cloth.
With leather?
I'm sorry?
I'm saying ideally you'd like to go with cloth, you said?
So for that one, we can go either way. I know that the Traverse, which is cloth interior, is larger. All the other comps on the vehicles were the same. The cloth also was less. I believe we're going to be well under our budget either way on any of the vehicles.
Okay.
The vehicle that has cloth is also available now.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you for coming in front of us. I don't see any questions. Okay. So entertain a motion on Commissioner Dennis.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to approve the boards and bids and contracts agenda for today with the modification that the vehicles for A and B, the first 2 items, all of the vehicles that were proposed as being leather, that we use the cloth option.
Okay.
Kirk Sponsel, Assistant County Counselor. Sorry to jump in here. My understanding is that when the bid went out, it was specifically for the leather, and I know that what was proposed to you was a combination of leather and cloth. If we're looking solely at the cloth, it would be my recommendation that this go back out for bid, just to give other potential vendors with potential cloth vehicles the opportunity to bid. I think that constitutes a material deviation. I
This is
apologize.
contradictory to the information we had gotten from purchasing. Now I have to ask the question if we're under some type of time contingency for the operationalization of this program to delay this now to go back out for what essentially is going to be about a 60-day delay. I'm fine with that, and I think Commissioner's solution here makes a lot of sense, but I also don't want to jeopardize a timeline on getting this up and running ASAP. Is there anything from ComCare that would conflict us going back out for quick bid on this again? Sorry.
Once she's coming here, was there a comment that this bid allowed for that flexibility to change? But
Ashley Sublett with ComCare.
Ashley, why don't you answer that question first about 60 days?
So what I have in my notes is that as far as the crisis vehicles, needs to be completed by 12/31, so by the end of the year.
Okay, so we officially have time, in your opinion. Okay. And then Joe, or did you guys? Ashley, why don't you stay handy this time? Stay.
My recommendation is that we move forward with getting the cloth option. There was one vendor that did not provide the cloth, even though it was not in the specs. One vendor supplied both, so that made it a legitimate offer. The other vendor did not supply the cloth, just the leather. So I think that's the point that Mr. Sponsel is making on the one particular vendor. What I could do, we could go back. I don't want to start a. Yes, if you want to do that. Okay. So I'm going to invoke the public exigency clause because of the time limits that we have on this and the importance of getting these vehicles to ComCare, that I recommend as purchasing director, we move forward with this recommendation that the body commission has given us. And legal has concurred with that.
Okay. So Commissioner Dennis, you made the motion. Do you have another comment? Or?
No, I think it's best to move forward with the motion that I have in place because delaying, all of the manufacturers are now moving to the 2024 models, and they're going to cost us more no matter what. If we go out and rebid, my goal today was to save the taxpayers money, not to cost the taxpayers more money. And so I think that I want to leave the motion as stated.
Okay.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any other comments? Commissioner Dent or Commissioner Howell, I mean.
Just another comment. To me, it's not, again, I agree with the motion and I seconded that for that reason, but I would point out that the difference is not just the interior. One is a LS, the other one's an LT. And item two, it goes from a LS to an RS, and there's a lot of other changes involved in that trim model. So again, I wish we would have bid the LS in both cases. I just encourage us in the future to go ahead and ask for the LS. I think that's what we would normally want anyway. But it's not just leather seats. There's all kinds of other things that'll be changed because of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Bob Bergeron, Fleet Director. To that point, they have 4 models of those cars, and the only one with leather is the high-end one, which is why that was the only one that they bid. Because the other 3 are cloth only, but you're right. As you increase, things increase. And usually we don't. Usually we always go with the low end, with rare occasions where they need like EMS power seats and stuff like that, which then increases the model.
I mean, they might have seat heaters, for example. They might have, it's a more complex vehicle.
Yeah.
Or more expensive to maintain, perhaps. More things to go wrong. Again, from a conservative viewpoint, I want transportation, but I don't want to do it, higher level of trim than we need to do the job. Right. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think we have the right motion today. Thank you.
As soon as you say leather, it goes to the max package.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments, questions? I don't see any. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. That motion passes with the amendments to it. Okay.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Joe, for all your work. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Consent agenda.
Morning, Chairman and Commission. Tom Stolz, County Manager's Office. Recommend approval of consent items G through M this morning.
Okay, Commissioners, you've had a chance to review consent items G through M. Are there any questions or comments? I don't see any. I'll make a motion to approve consent items G through M.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Being no comments, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. Okay, next, we will recess our Board of Sedgwick County Commission meeting and for a minute while we call to order the governing body of the Fire District Number 1. Madam Clerk?
Roll call. Commissioner Lopez.
Present.
Commissioner Dennis.
Present.
Commissioner Beatty.
Present.
Commissioner Howell.
Present.
Chairman Meitzner.
Present. Next item, please.
Public agenda.
Anybody from the public? There was nobody that signed up to address us in the public, so we will go to the next item, please.
Budget discussion.
Okay, Commissioners, as our practice during this budget season, we've agreed to have any budget discussions on a weekly basis. Does anybody have anything to discuss on the Fire District budget? Yeah, Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Chairman. I do appreciate, did receive data from HR regarding the pay proposals. There's, I think, the 5 plans. Again, I think that the base plan and the most expensive plan, the perfect plan, I think both of those, personally, I would not support either one of those. I think we have some other options that are pretty good. To the issue of 12 steps versus 15 steps, I don't think that affects most of our personnel today. I think there's only one person, I believe, that's impacted by that change right now. It may have some cost in the future. Again, I'd like to get us moving forward into this pay plan and again, get the steering council engaged, and maybe that's something they can discuss, moving it to a 15-step plan in the future. But again, I have no problem with the 12 or the 15. I just don't think there's a lot of reason to necessarily do 15 today. At the out years, 15 does cost more because there's people who are presumed to not promote to officer positions, and so the presumption is that they would cap out on the 12-step plan. They would not cap out on the 15 for 3 more years, and I think that's the reason why. That's a more expensive plan, but I'm not sure that's necessarily reality. A lot of those folks, when they get to the 12th year, a lot of those folks will promote into a lieutenant or lieutenant position, or they move on up in rank. And so I'm not sure that the analysis is exactly right. Nevertheless, I'm happy with either one. I would support the 15 or the 12. I have not really absorbed the differences in the Evergreen plan just yet, but I would tell you that I think we have 3 options. All 3 of those, I think, are a step in the right direction. So I know I'm getting a briefing on this, I believe tomorrow, Friday. I'm not sure what day it is. Anyway, it's coming up here the next day or 2. So I'm sure I'm going to have a more opinion about this next week. And unfortunately, this is late enough in the process. I don't know how this is going to impact other parts within the county, but we may need to do some pivoting and some reaction potentially to other county departments, potentially. My personal opinion is, though, this pay plan is a step in the right direction for those 3 middle options. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Any comments or responses? No? Okay.
You will all get a briefing within the next,
Okay.
before the next BOCC.
Okay. Well, this is important because we did take some serious steps in a lot of departments the last year, 2 years for sure. So, and some of them have needed corrections and adjustments. And
I have one other question.
Okay, Commissioner Howell.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman, for a second bite of the apple. One other question: has the chief weighed in on the options, and are we going to have his suggestion or his preference when we get to that discussion?
I think
of that. Is he going to provide that?
Sir, I think the chief he's knowledgeable of all 5 of these plans. He's been part of the discussion and analysis of all 5 of those plans. I think he has an opinion. He is going to be present at the meetings when we meet with you all, and I think publicly at some point. I think he's on the same page with you, sir. I think he sees any of these middle options as a step in the right direction, and he will at some point have to we'll have to, he'll support something, and we also have to have fiscal management on this, so I think he'll weigh in with you when he meets with you.
All right, thank you again.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I don't see any, so we will close the budget discussion. Next item, please.
Budget discussion? Oh, wait, other?
Anything under the fire agenda? I don't see any, and we do not have executive session, so we will adjourn the fire agenda, Fire District Number 1 agenda, and we will return to the Board of County Commission agenda. Next item, please.
Budget discussion?
Budget discussion related to our our Sedgwick County budget. Yeah.
We have nothing
Mr.
from staff today, sir. Well, this is the
Okay.
commission's time to
Okay.
debate.
I know we're churning through it, and it's been really some healthy dialogue back and forth between including the manager with every discussion. And manager, you've done a nice job of whatever the concerns are, suggestions, getting to the appropriate departments. And so far, I'm pleased with how this process is going. And anybody else want to have any specific questions or comments at this time? Okay, I don't see any, so we are plodding along. 23rd is the final budget day. That's 2 weeks from today. Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just thinking, since this is the first meeting we've had since our first public agenda, a reminder that we have another public agenda coming up on Budget Adoption Day, which is the 23rd of August. That's a thing I would like to just make sure people are aware of that. But regarding the first public agenda that happened last Wednesday at 6 p.m., we only had one person who came and spoke. We had a very good discussion, I think, amongst the commissioners regarding her comments, and her comments related to the state's inaction, if you will, to fund some of the revenue programs that the state by law is supposed to fund. I'm continuing to think about that, and one of the arguments that the legislature makes against local government to provide the funding for those programs. Well, first of all, let me just say they have plenty of money this year. They have in the past raised taxes, and there's a number of reasons why they have a large ending balance. But this is certainly the 1 year, I think, where we can make the argument that the state doesn't really have a legitimate argument not to fund those, other than they don't trust us, and that's really the point. There's an argument that they would make that says that they don't want to provide that revenue to local government because they think we'll just expand the size and scope of government. We'll just spend the money and there'll be no property tax relief. To that end, I wanted to make a point here that we have a 1% sales tax. I think it passed in 1982. I may be off my year there, but I believe it was 1982. And it's a 1% sales tax. This year, it's going to produce just a little bit less than $140 million, we believe. That's the projection I see. And of that, I believe that Sedgwick County is going to receive just a hair under $40 million. And I think Derby gets about $4 million, and every city gets a small amount of money. Wichita gets around $77, $78 million. Wichita, I asked across the street, I asked them, I said, well, how much does 1 mil generate in Wichita? And a lot of the people can't answer the question, but let me just tell you, the answer is about $4.5 million. So $4.5 million per mil, if you divide that out, $77 or $78 million of revenue from the sales tax, means they have a reduction in their mill levy by about 17 mills. I have to make sure we say that again. They have a reduction in their mill levy of about 17 mills because of the 1% sales tax. We have about a 6 mil reduction in our mill levy because of the sales tax. Now, you say, well, how do you know? We would pay for the very same things. We would do bridge maintenance and road maintenance, infrastructure. We would do all the very same things with property tax dollars, but for the sales tax revenue. So the sales tax revenue gives us another source of revenue, so we don't have to charge property tax. And so because of the sales tax, we do have a 6 mil reduction in Sedgwick County and a 17 mil reduction in Wichita, a 10 mil reduction in the city of Derby, and on it goes. If they funded those programs, we would see, just the simple math tells us we would be able to lower our mill levy by 4 mils. Wichita could probably lower their mill levy by a little bit more than 4 mils if they provided the money for those revenue programs that the state is obligated by statute to provide. So when I talk to legislators, one of the arguments against us is continuing to be, we don't like what you do with the money. So I talked to some legislators just last night, and I said, let me explain some of these numbers to you. And we had a great conversation. And they commented back, well, we don't like the fact that you're spending property tax dollars on some of those things. We don't know that it's the best use of those dollars. It's not really core functions of government. And they named some of those quality of life things. I won't go through that list. I commented back, just as an experiment, I said, those things are funded completely from sales tax. Now, I can't honestly say that because we've not made that choice to connect sales tax dollars to those quality of life things. But I said, we have around $16, $17 million of quality of life things we provide funding to, and that's completely solely funded through sales tax. By the way, of our $40 million, $20 million goes to infrastructure, roughly just a little bit less than $20 million goes to the same place that property tax dollars goes. So we could use whichever dollar we want to provide funding to quality of life. But I made the comment, well, that's completely funded through sales tax. And I said, property tax pays for public safety, infrastructure, and human services. I said, amongst those things, where should we cut $15.1 million this year? I said, should we cut mental health or election office? Laura, I'm not going to do that. It was just a joke, okay? Just a point to be made, okay? Election office. I just kind of cringed when I said that. I said, not really. How about, sheriff's office, the DA? Where should we cut? And they're like, well, none of those things. We want you to cut those quality of life things. So essentially what they said. I said, but those are not funded through property tax. Those are funded through sales tax. And they said, well, golly, I wish you guys would have told this a long time ago. It changed the conversation. So let me just encourage this commission once again to please reconsider my point I made last week. I'm not necessarily right, but I think the conversation is worthy. And I would ask my colleagues to please think about the messages we send to Topeka. When we fund those quality of life things, again, I support them all. And I think there's a return on the investment back to the taxpayer even. It certainly makes the economy thrive, makes people want to live in Wichita and Sedgwick County. I support those things. But when you talk about using people's property tax dollars for things that are arguably not core functions of government, not necessities, but desirables, they tend to have a problem with that. And if I simply connect, well, those property tax dollars pays for public safety, infrastructure, and human services, but quality of life things are paid for through sales tax, it changes the conversation. So I think the conversation is worthy. I'd implore my colleagues to not just disregard it quickly, but think it through. It changes our arguments in Topeka. And that conversation was very eye-opening. Please understand, if you talk to a legislator and you connect sales tax to those things versus property tax, you might get a different response. I sure did last night. Thank you.
Commissioner Beatty.
Thank you, Chairman. I wanted to give an update. There's been a lot of discussion from the bench here about engaging our community with other opportunities to present the budget, to get feedback on the budget. Obviously, we had our open meeting, our public meeting here last week. I've started engaging the cities in my district, going and presenting the recommended budget and getting feedback from their council. Park City last night, I'll do Keachai on 8/10. I think Chairman Meitzner might be with me there. Valley Center on the 15th, Sedgwick, and my one city block that we have in Sedgwick on the 16th. And then Mays elected, they asked me to come afterwards to share what we actually pass in the budget. I say that because as we engage the city councils and their elected leaders in their cities, getting incredible feedback from what it is they want in the county-city relationship. And a lot of it really does stem back to, I had multiple questions last night, before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting about mental health, is the county's role in mental health. And I still think that, I say all that just to illuminate that there's still a lot of confusion in this community about who's doing what in the mental health, substance use, homelessness space, who's taking the lead. Mm-hmm. And I see it as an opportunity really to clarify who's doing the psych hospital, what's the commission's role in this, what's the county's role in this, who's doing biomed, is the county having any role in this, who's doing the new MAC campus with Wichita, what the county's role in that. It's just a lot of confusion with our cities within the 20 cities within Sedgwick County as to who's doing what. And I'm determined to try to help bring some clarity to those things. I'll also add, to Commissioner Howe's point, last night Park City, on the heels of a 1-cent sales tax being passed on the ballot in Park City, they also did an offset of property tax. They passed unanimously on their board last night to offset a property tax. I think they did $500,000 on property, which is not a ton of money to the bottom line in Park City, but it is symbolic that they see the offset. If they're getting revenue from sales tax, it'll offset with property tax dollars. And I think it's still a conversation to be had with our partners at the state. state. I've learned that when we engage our partners at the state sensically and with data and have a real honest conversation, not to implore them to do something, but to let them see what it is, the challenges we're having on the county level, we really seem to get more open-hand feedback from them. So as Commissioner Dennis has often said here in the last few months, this LAVTR conversation is an important conversation. I think it begins with awareness. It begins with awareness with our colleagues and our partners at the state, and I'm encouraged that there's some meetings hopefully coming in the near future to where we can engage them on that level. But I say all that in the budget discussion part by just saying that engaging these cities, the 20 cities in Sedgwick County, so they understand our role and what we're trying to do in our budget, allows them the space to do what they need to do for their citizens at the city level. It's been very fruitful so far. So thanks for the opportunity to share, Chairman.
Yeah, thank you both for your comments. Any other comments? Okay. With that, we will close the budget discussion. Next item, please.
Committee reports.
Committee reports. Commissioner Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. I've got a couple things on committee reports. One kind of bleeds over into other, but as long as I got the mic, I'll just do it all at once, okay? First of all, a reminder, Jubilee is coming up on September the 9th. Please buy your tickets now because it'll save you $25 a ticket if you get them before September 1st. So I urge everyone to go out and get that. That's the #1 fundraising for the zoo. So thanks for that. Also, on committee reports, yesterday during our WAMPO committee, during the portion that has KDOT able to speak, Mike Moriarty briefed us a little bit about a canal route study that's coming up. And the canal route bridges, they served well, but they've got a lifespan just as every other major infrastructure thing that's throughout the county and the United States. So they've got approximately 15 or 20 years of meaningful life ahead of them. As a result, they're going to have to do a study. Now, one thing that later on in the day, we all got an email from Lynn Packer that says that they'd like us to support this, and absolutely, we would support this in Sedgwick County. But the second part of that is that they may ask us to provide matching funds. And I do have a couple problems with us doing that. First of all, if you remember the Northwest Expressway, we haven't got a nickel out of the city. They don't support it. So I don't know why that we would come into the city and we would then start providing funding for that. So I think that this is a larger discussion that we probably need to bring back to the entire commission, but I wanted to make sure that the public and the entire commission was aware of it before we brought it back so that we could have a meaningful discussion on that. And as I said, the other issue that was actually brought up by Lynn Packer last night was a Park City request to use the Mitch Mitchell floodway for some recreational purposes. Over the years, and I served on the MAPC for 9 years, and I was on advisory boards and now on the county commission. We've heard this request a number of times with people that are wanting to use the floodway for recreational purposes. And over again, we said, hey, we appreciate your thought, but it's a bad idea for a number of reasons. First of all, we put millions of dollars in the maintenance of those levees every year. And I'm not going to jeopardize the millions of dollars that we have. In addition, there's parts of those levees that are really vulnerable. And I had a great opportunity. I served with Mitch Mitchell on the MAPC, so I learned a lot about the floodway while I was serving on that. We can't jeopardize that floodway in any shape or form. In addition, Lynn Packer mentioned that floodway was put in by eminent domain. And as a result of being put in by eminent domain, we condemned that, the county condemned that land for one purpose, and that was to protect the community. And it's done a great job over the years of doing that. But if we decide to use it for something other than what we condemned it for, we're going to be liable for paying those landowners that we took that land from in order to be able to do that. So I just want everybody to understand that, I respect Park City's ideas. I always are looking for people that come up with ideas that are outside the box, but this one idea I think is a non-starter. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, is there any other committee reports? I'll just report that it's not really a committee, but we also, one of our committees or one of our duties is the Board of Canvassing. And that meeting is this Thursday. We canvass the votes at 9 a.m. I believe we're doing that. I'm not sure where we're doing that at, but it is a public meeting. Is it at the election office? Do you guys remember?
It is.
Okay, at the election office. That's an open meeting. And I think the goal is, I had a brief conversation with the election commissioner, recall there will be some recounts on whatever our decisions are. The preference is that we can convene later on that same Thursday afternoon. We can determine the size and scope. If not, we'll have to do it Friday. But so commissioners, if you want to keep your calendars kind of open that Thursday afternoon later, just in case. If we can't make it, we can't make it. But we, as of now, we're meeting at 9 a.m. For the canvassing of the recent elections. And that's my report. It's not really a committee, but it kind of is. Commissioner Howell.
I wanted to, on committee reports, I wanted to just thank the chairman. He gave me the option to serve on the EMCU board as our delegate from the commission, and I appreciate that opportunity. Normally, the chairman serves in that role. I have not been chairman since 2016, so I haven't been able to be a part of that committee for a very long time. So I did attend that meeting this last week, and I would tell you that, number one, they're doing a great job. The EMCU stands for Exploited Missing Children's Unit, and they also have another division of what they do is called Internet Crimes Against Children, or ICAC. And they co-locate those two efforts within the Child Advocacy Center over there at Harry and Emporia. Anyway, just a great organization, and they provided some data. I'd like to get some copies of that and to provide that to my colleagues here regarding what's going on. They break down the different crimes that are against children, what's going on. You talk about human trafficking and child abuse and things like that. They break it down into details. It is a very sobering report. But I think people need to know what's going on. I don't want to live in a vacuum and not be aware of what's happening around us. And so I will provide those reports to my colleagues. If anybody out there wants to see that report, I'd be glad to share it. I asked, is this public data? And they said it was. I can share it with anybody I want to. So I just think that the community needs to see the trend lines, what is happening with children in Sedgwick County. And I think that's incredibly important. So, Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to serve in that role, and I appreciate it. So with that, I'll provide that data to you. I just want to say thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. As a matter of fact, I know that serving on that as the chair, it is sobering. I know Commissioner Dennis has been on that committee, and it's a sobering quarterly meeting. And so I'm glad that you're now exposed to it as well. So thank you. Any other comments on committees? I don't see any, so we'll adjourn move to the next item.
Other.
Other. Is there anything under other? Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Chairman. I had the privilege this week. I was requested to provide an educational tax talk to a community in my district, and I love that opportunity. We had a good room full of people, and I was able to provide education information on tax issues in Kansas, and especially in Sedgwick County. And I have enough information that actually to go through it all. I've never been able to go through it all in the past, but I did this time. They were very patient and interested to the end. It took 2 hours, believe it or not. I don't want to do 2 hours with a discussion with the other groups necessarily, but I just like to invite people in the community, if they want to have an educational discussion on taxes in Sedgwick County or Kansas, I think that I would love to provide that resource. So I just encourage other groups out there that if you want to have me come out and provide a briefing on taxes in Sedgwick County, I would love that chance to do so. Second thing I wanted to mention, I wanted to just give thanks to David Dennis. We had this last 2 days ago, Monday, we had a special meeting for the Purple Heart County designation, and I meant to say it then, and I failed to say it then, but I want to say it today. David Dennis did lead on moving us, Sedgwick County, to become a Purple Heart County. And if you don't know what that means, we like to recognize our veterans, especially those that have suffered personally through bodily injury or families of those folks. I was very proud of Sedgwick County for the ceremony we put on Monday. It was a tremendous ceremony, and I want to give credit to David Dennis for being the leader to get that done. So with that, he may want to share further on that event, but I wanted to just thank him for that leadership. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Any other comments? That was a great ceremony. Okay, I don't see anything under other. Next item.
Executive session.
We do not have an executive session. And so with that, is there any other business that needs to come before the commission at this time? I don't see any, so we will adjourn. Thank you. Very good.
2 meetings.
Leadership.